First up, when a new generation of would-be media barons entered the business, they made a lot of big promises to revolutionize the media landscape. But throughout this year, we've seen several failures to launch, and for some, it's been an all-out implosion. At first glance, First Look Media held great promise. Launched by eBay tycoon Pierre Omidyar, he made a splash hiring big names like NSA muckraker Glenn Greenwald.
We've shown all sorts of invasions into the content of communications.
But so far, First Look has made headlines for all the wrong reasons.
We've now reached the point where neither party really represents the very poor.
Matt Taibbi, another big-name hire, left in a fit, citing behind-the-scenes turmoil and mismanagement. Omidyar says he remains committed to First Look's mission. Speaking of turmoil,
we're trying to do it with a certain sense of edge. We don't want the New Republic to feel like homework.
When Facebook co-founder Chris Hughes bought the New Republic, he promised to shake up the storied but profit-challenged magazine. But when that included dropping editor Franklin Foer, much of the staff resigned in protest.
I'll see you on Yahoo.
Katie Couric was lured to Yahoo News as Marissa Mayer tries to turn around the moribund website with a big push into content. But so far, the clicks haven't followed.
Live broadcast TV, off the air, wherever you are.
The streaming service Aereo promised to disrupt how we consume TV, to howls of protest from network execs.
They're taking our content. They're selling it, they're charging people for it, they're making money on it, and we're not.
Aereo said it was just renting antennas, but the Supreme Court called it copyright theft and shut it down.
Get your first copy of the Los Angeles Register.
Another big bet on traditional print proved a bust for self-styled newspaper tycoon Aaron Kushner. After launching the Los Angeles Register, he stopped the presses 6 months later. And now his OC Register is having trouble paying its bills. The story is far different at the Washington Post, a year after the Graham family sold the paper to Amazon founder Jeff Bezos.
Everybody knows he is very, very long-term minded.
Some critics say Bezos has moved too slowly, but most see the Post poised for future growth.
To see him with what was a print property, now digital, plus television, plus devices, plus subscription capabilities, I think is really interesting, and I think it's good for the Post.
Imagine that, getting results by being deliberate over brash. All right, so why haven't more media innovators gained traction? Joining me tonight to hash it out are John Keller of WBZ, Adam Riley of WGBH News, Kelly Crossley, also of WGBH News, and Dan Kennedy of Northeastern University. Well, a number of these things that we've talked about, these innovators, are online. And I don't know about any of you. Maybe, I bet you have. I have not gone on Yahoo once to look at a single interview. It's not that I'm not interested. I never think about it. There's no promotion for it. There's no... there's nothing out there that says, hey, go listen to one of the Katie Couric interviews on Yahoo. Same thing with Pierre Omidyar's thing. It's like, I haven't looked at it. I mean, I don't know if it had some disastrous failures with Matt Taibbi and others, but for all I know, it may be good. I haven't looked at it.
Well, he's doing very little to this point. I mean, they've only launched a national security website called The Intercept, and I hardly ever go there, but I understand that they don't even post all that regularly. You know, some of these failures that we're looking at really have this. You could point to individual reasons for each of them. Let me touch on the New Republic for a moment. The New Republic has been a small, money-losing magazine forever. And if Chris Hughes had wanted to, he could have kept running it as a small, money-losing magazine forever. He obviously wants to try something different, much bigger. I think the big problem isn't necessarily what he wants to do, but the way he went about it. He was really brutal and dismissive about it in a way that wasn't necessary.
That New Republic story, I don't know about you guys, but I got tired of hearing about how sad it was to be losing the New Republic after about one day.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, absolutely.
There were, impressive history, ton of good work done over the years, very talented people who chose to leave, but not that many people cared about the New Republic. And I feel like if you charted sort of the amount of media attention dedicated to the demise of an outlet and weighted against how many people actually read or engage that outlet, this would set some kind of record.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I wondered if, sometimes I watch these shows about people, experts who go to redo businesses, and they talk to the people for 5 minutes, and then they say, did you notice if it's a restaurant, there is an Italian restaurant down the street, and you're trying to do the same thing? Like there was no market research, which seems very basic. So I wonder if the same thing could be applied here, not so much to the New Republic, but to some of these other, it was just built on the idea that we've had that if we can do these one or two things that they're not doing in quote unquote traditional media, it's going to work, as opposed to, I don't know, testing it or seeing if there is enough response.
And the other thing about that, assuming that a big name was enough draw, Katie Couric, Matt Taibbi, some of these, Glenn Greenwald, the assumption that would do it.
Yeah, I actually thought that might. I thought people. I actually thought people would draw. I thought Katie would draw people. I did.
Well, first of all, not to get off topic, but I'm very pleasantly surprised to see you looking so lifelike after that send-off. I thought I was going to have to sign a condolence book when I came in here, but here you are, and you look great. Look, first of all, God bless these multi-billionaires for being willing to squander their money on creating jobs and keeping the torch lit. Okay, let's say that right up front. Having said that, just because you're rich doesn't mean you're smart. And all too often in these cases, I think people forget about the content. I think for the New Republic or what Glenn Greenwald is doing, I mean, if the content is interesting and is sort of diverse enough to reach out to a broad enough audience, Lord knows there's got to be a way to make it financially feasible to go forward. I went online, The Intercept, the Omidyar website that's up and running. And it's just one note. It's all about how your savage, vicious, fascist government is spying on you, lying to you, and that's all well and good. No denying the truth of any of that, but it's sort of one note. I think you need a little more than that to make it in this environment.
And it's worth pointing out here, Thomas, this sort of, we're going to say the exact same thing.
Network of websites by this point, and
general interest sites, sports, business. I mean, he wanted to do everything.
Well, they were trying to be what BuzzFeed is now. So BuzzFeed is, forging ahead, doing exactly that. Different verticals, very dedicated to one subject, drawing different people in. I think what I am surprised about actually is the Yahoo thing, not only because I thought she had a name that would draw some people, but also they do have variety. So there's a way for them to promote that and draw me in. I'm in there looking at something else, and then you say, hey, since you're watching that, why don't you check this out?
I'll tell you, by the way, I was going to agree with you that I hadn't clicked on Yahoo at all over the course of the past year, but I do follow this guy. I'm going to mispronounce his name. You might be able to help me out. Adrian, is it Woj sounds like
Wojciechowski?
Wojciechowski, right.
I'm just faking it, but go ahead.
There might be an R in there somewhere, but he's their basketball guy and breaks every big NBA story before it happens. So much so that the league actually investigated
Did he know about Rajon Rondo?
He did, I believe. I think if he didn't broke it, he broke every other story like it. So he's really good.
They're attracting a viewer, Adam Riley here, based on the notion of content. This guy breaks stories on an area I'm interested in. Katie Couric, not so much. I don't know whose bright idea that was, but boy, talk about being out of touch.
And Callie makes a great point about BuzzFeed, because BuzzFeed has been a big success in this space, and I think it's telling that it came out of nowhere. It wasn't one of these huge, massively funded celebrity projects.
And you know what it did? It transformed the model too, with the whole listicles, making people like listicles and click on them and email them. Very smart.